Good evening. I'm Coach Brandon, and welcome to I Trained You. And so, the goal of this is, as a coach, is to help all of the community out there, all across the world, really understand how improvement in basketball takes place. So, with my background, I'm a former Division I basketball player. I played for the University of Miami. Afterwards, I had an opportunity to play professionally overseas. I chose not to. And my goal was to really, as a mission, to help players to get better anywhere I could. And so I came up with a curriculum based on some of the things that I realized that I missed as a player and as an athlete. And then also I looked at the military, I looked at martial arts, I looked at all of these different combinations to create a rubric that would help athletes get from where they are to where they want to be. In high school, I played for Flint Hill. At the time, they were number one in the country. I think my senior year, we ended up number 8. Unfortunately, we lost the last game of the season. But at the end of the day, the goal is that everybody can't make it to the level that some of us have made it to. But it's a journey. And what are the things that are interrupting that journey? There's only 12 typically spots on the team. So what does that really mean for you as a player if you go to a school and there's 12 guys that are really, really, really good? What does that mean when you're trying to get from where you are to where you want to be, and you know that there's a whole lot of other fantastic players in your way? What are the politics behind the game? That's so important. And so as you start to dive into this journey as a parent, which I'm a parent of 2 boys that play basketball. And so we talk about their journey because it's very different, even though they're a year apart, but they still have the same interests and the same hoop dreams. And my goal originally was for my kids not to play basketball because I didn't want them to try to measure up and live up to the journey that I was a part of. And so every kid has a different reason and a different why. And so our goal here is to bring you a podcast or bring you a show on a weekly basis where we have different guests that are able to talk about how to get from where you are to where you want to be as a player, and then also for parents to understand the complexity of the journey. And so as a child of this game, I was always nervous, didn't know who to listen to, how to listen to them. And so what my goal is to be a neutral source for you, is to bring other trainers on because they have similar goals in terms of helping. And my goals is, look, I have a training program, I have a coaching program, they have a training program, they have a coaching program. There's so many kids, there's over 1 million kids in high school that are playing basketball every year with hoop dreams. There's only about 4,000 Division I scholarships that are given out annually. So what does all of that mean? That means that you spend all of this time, maybe it's quality time, maybe it's not, and you're trying to get to this next level to grab one of those scholarships. How easy is that? How difficult is that? All of this matters when you're trying to focus and develop as a player. You're trying to navigate this space. And when I was a kid, I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't really have a huge plan. I was tall. I was 6'6" at 14, 15 years old. I could jump really, really high. So what does that really mean for me as a player? What does that mean in terms of how I was recruited? It mattered because the high school that I went to was being recruited by college coaches, by national college coaches. So my exposure was right. My AAU was right. And so how do you navigate it if you don't have the politics, if you don't have the AAU right? That's what we discuss here. And we have superstar like coaches and trainers that come on here, and panelists like my team is amazing. Coach Nysear Byrd is an incredible coach, but he's an incredible human being. Coach Brad Pinchback is an incredible coach, an incredible friend, and he's a mentor to so many kids and parents. And why do they do that? They do it because it made a difference with them, and it should make a difference with all of us. So we also have a young brother on here who happens to be my brother, who's on a different journey. Last week, we had Player Tara on the line, and she talked to us about her journey. And so I figured we would have a young man on here whose daughter is um, 12 years old, and she's going through her journey now. And so, what is it like for him? And we can discuss that as he's trying to navigate this space. So, all of that is what this show is about, and so much more. And at the end of the show, we as coaches will evaluate a particular clip and we'll talk about that particular player and what they could be doing differently and all the rest of that good stuff. And then that's the fun. And then this is the way, as parents and players, you get to know exactly who I am, who Coach Nysear is, who Coach Brad is, so that each week when you see us and you're trying to make a decision about who you're going to involve in your son or your daughter's life, then maybe you have a little clue into our philosophies, what we think about, how we interact with the kids, so that at the end of the day, you're making the best decision for your child. I always say to all of my students and even my own kids that there's three things as a creed that you need to have. And that's number one, be a subject matter expert. Number two, be the best version of yourself. And number three, surround yourself with people who inspire you. And that's exactly what I do. So I'm going to bring on Coach Nysear now. Coach, how you doing? Oh, we can't hear you. Oh,
So how you doing, man?
oh yeah, you said you're a little under the weather.
Yeah,
Look,
sick as a dog.
poor coach, poor coach. Coach Brad, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing great, man. Doing great.
You
I
feeling
was
good?
I was Nasir last week.
Yes, you were Nasir last week, but Nasir toughed it out. He toughed it out and said, "I'm getting on anyway."
Hey, yeah,
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 we're here now.
yeah. He's making me feel bad.
Coach, how can we get one of those shirts? What we got to do?
Oh, the one I have on?
Yeah, how many jump shots I got to make, man?
Hey, I got you.
Uh,
I got you, Brandon. Next time I see you, I got
yeah, I got you too. I got you too. So, we're going to bring on Chad in just a few minutes. But, I really want to take a minute because a lot of parents don't understand really this journey. And I want to open up talking about, what the difference is between your philosophy, Nysear, and your philosophy, Brad, so we can open it up early so parents can kind of understand what your philosophy is in teaching basketball to kids, and just as an intro, Nysear, why would a parent, come to you and want you to work with their son or daughter one on one to help them to improve their skills? What's different? I mean, because you're actually a coach as well, a head coach. So what is the reason why they would come to you and not feel that they can get the education from the high school coach or junior high school coach or elementary school coach that you would provide? And then why would you say that? I don't like to say one trainer is better than another, but why would you say that, a kid or parent would want to choose you? So go ahead.
I think first and foremost, I would lead with like the connections that I can make with athletes, student families. I think that's the foremost, probably the most important, because if you can make a good relationship with a kid or a family, then kind of just like it's just training, like, and it's not really teaching them, because like how I feel training is teaching you a bit beyond life. I mean, life beyond basketball, let me say. So I think that first, making them genuine connections would be one. Skill before drill. So I'm not going to be drilling the same thing into a child, um, or not really explaining why they doing a specific movement or giving it a name so they can, try to remember it, and that. And honestly, I would have to give a lot of credit to you. So I get my confidence because I'm coming up under you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're doing a great job too. You know, um, Brad, go ahead and answer the question, and then we're going to talk about the young man who just joined our program, because I think that's going to be critical to help parents understand the why. Go ahead, Coach Brad.
Actually, I think Nysear hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
I agree with everything he said. Um, when you get into this, you definitely want to establish relationships. Now, who are we establishing relationships with? Well, both the parent and the player. It has to be both, or it's going to be tough. So you have to be professional enough to establish that relationship with with the parent. And you have to be able to, catch that player's interest as well with the knowledge. Like you have to like kind of, for me, I talk to the players a lot. I have them do maybe a little assessment drills, if that makes sense to you. It's not really part of the workout, but it helps me see where they're at,
Right.
and then where I need to focus. It kind of helps me see that. And then at that point, I kind of go from there. I listen to what they want to focus on. But for me, having been at it so long, it's real easy for me to pick up the phone and call a high school coach and say, hey, what would you like so-and-so to be better at, so that he can be more valuable in your system. And they'll give me that, and we'll go from there. That way we can kind of do it efficiently. We're still going to work on things outside of that, but our primary focus will be to get that kid as successful as we can in that program. And then potentially, get him ready, for the next level.
It's funny because we have a young man that joined our program, Brad, and he's really, really good. I think he's in the top 5 point guards in the area.
Okay.
He's different, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Nysear, you might remember this. So we were doing a particular drill that required a high set of footwork skills, a high set of core skills. You had to be able to manage your shoulders, so there were shoulder movements, and then also you had to have the right dribble.
Oh yeah.
And so where he might have been pushing through before he met us, now he's being held accountable to this level of detail, like where the ball hits when the foot hits. It has to be simultaneous so that you can create the highest quality of pivot to be able to maneuver the basketball legally, and how the ball is pulled back in your hand is important so that it's not a carry. And so it was funny. He goes, oh, yeah. When I showed him the dribble, he was like, oh, I do this. I already do this.
Mm.
Yet he was not doing it in the drill. So he wasn't bringing that skill, right, Nysear? He wasn't bringing that skill to it. And it wasn't like it was bad or anything, but he wasn't bringing that skill. And it was so important for him to be able to do that because he wasn't able to rotate his core because he was trying to manage the ball at the same time. And it was almost like he was hiding the ball as opposed to skillfully exposing the ball to be able to read the defense. So the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of times these high-end players who are able to do things because they're fast, they're quick, or they've got an idea, or a lot of times if you got game, people will respect you and they'll back off of you a little bit, or if they're risky, they'll get up on you, and then you're able to get by because you make good reads. But against higher level competition, like when you play against, if you're in a high school and you're playing against a D1 kid that's major D1, you might get eaten alive because you don't have these details. So, I mean, Nysear, you agree with that? You were there.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, did you think that once he understood it and he saw the value, I saw a shift in the quality of the skill. I saw him trying to get the timing right.
Definitely. He probably still practicing it right now.
He's right, because that dude stayed in the gym, Brad. He said we were leaving and we were like,
Oh, I love it.
still in here. And
I
so
love
that's
it.
the example and why he's, to me, a major Division I recruit. Like, as a matter of fact, offline, we need to talk about him and,
Okay.
really help this kid get the exposure. And that's what I love about our relationship, guys, is that we're working together to help all kids. It's not just about, oh, this kid's in my program, oh, this kid's in Brad's program, oh, this kid's in. It's not. No, there's so much room for everybody to win, and I'm thinking national. Brad, what you thinking?
International.
Internet.
You know me.
Okay, Nysear, you thinking intergalactic? All right. Anyway, let me bring on my brother, Chad. Chad, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, fellas? So appreciative of the time. You guys doing a great show here. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, so I feel like I'm already learning from you three brothers. So appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. Well, I grew up with you, so I know what you looking like and doing. So, Chad is 6'3", guys. Okay, and his wife is about 6'2",
Six
without
one, 6 feet.
1.
She had back surgery, so she's six
Oh,
feet.
so
He's 6'1" again.
she's 5'1" now, though. So, all right. So she had back surgery. So she's 6 feet, and your daughters are tall. You've got two, and
Yeah,
so,
and one is the tallest girl in the class.
and one is the tallest girl. So she's always, Brad. I don't know if your screen is off, but she's like off the charts typically for girls her age. Is that fair
Yeah,
to say?
absolutely. Even though everybody in their school is tall now, I don't know if they're just making kids taller, but she's specifically 99th percentile. Every year she's gone to the doctor or whatever. And
So
it's interesting because she has a twin sister who's about 4 inches shorter than her.
for
So
now, right? For now. So we don't know how tall she's going to end up being herself. But is there a reason or a passion for you knowing that you and your wife are tall, that your daughters would be tall? Is that leaning you towards like wanting to help your daughter? And I'm not saying any names, right? So I just want you to know that. And I'm not saying any names just because, those
no,
are
no, I appreciate that. I appreciate everything. So yes, 100%. I mean, my wife's not just 6 feet; she's 6 feet and a superb athlete. She ran track, she played basketball. And my daughters have both shown an aptitude for athletics. So I did want to push them into athletics. So at a young age, they were playing basketball, they were doing tennis, track, they ran cross country. But what I found, and I'm in the thick of it right now, with a 12-year-old that's seventh grade, transitioning from um, that sign up basketball to the tryout basketball. So this will be the first year she's trying out for a team, even though she's been the best player a lot and things came easy for her up until now. We have no idea what it's going to be once these tryouts happen in a couple of months.
Well, I mean, so let's talk about that because I think you're at a critical time because your daughter's in 7th grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to make a decision. You've got to make a decision. We also got Coach Akil on. Akil, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good,
How's
good.
everybody?
See you.
Hey, what's up, brother?
What's going
Get
on?
off the court.
Yeah.
So hold on one second, guys. Let me see if I can orient this. I don't know. All right, how's that? Okay, so Chad,
You don't want to see this mug, do you?
yeah, your playing days are over. So anyway, so really trying to understand what your strategy is, because you're at a pivotal age. You know,
it's been interesting though, because I am at that pivotal moment. But I did so the one daughter that we're talking about, Mackenzie, is we weren't going to say names, but my apologies. But she played tennis. They both played tennis since a very early age. They both showed an aptitude for it, and she burned out. So we did 5 years of tennis from 5 to 10, and 2 years ago she said she didn't want to play anymore. So it's actually been kind of an interesting journey trying to figure out how to push her to be the best athlete that she can be while not overwhelming her, you know, because she does seem to love basketball as well. And she's continued through these last 2 years. And then most recently, she just asked to play tennis again. So I think allowing her to stop for a year and a half or so was actually probably the best thing for her from that perspective. But she's never lost the love for basketball. So I don't know, but we are right here on the crux of tryouts, and I'm nervous. You know, her ball skills aren't aren't where I'd want them to be.
Brad, you might have a client.
Let's get her signed up. What can you do in 2 months? I mean, she's.
Hey, I had a call a while ago, so I didn't hear all of this. I was trying to get back, so I was back on the show.
No, we understand. It was basically I have a daughter who, my wife is 6 feet. My daughter is the tallest girl in the class. Not by far, but she is the tallest. And has been playing basketball since she was 5 or 6, and being very competitive. We're always, MVP of the league. She's always been in the championship games, even though we lost the championship last year. But they played back-to-back games, so I didn't hold that one against her. But but it's always come naturally and easy for her, just because she is so athletic and so much taller. But now we're
how tall is your daughter?
She is 5'8",
and she's 7th grade.
12.
She's 12.
7th grade.
12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And she's 5'8" already.
Mm-hmm.
Well, girls do shoot up fast.
Yeah. But my wife is 6 feet 6'1", and I'm 6'3", and my brother's 6'6". So there is height all around us. You never know. She might top off with 5'8", and she has a twin sister as well who's 4 inches shorter, who's 5'4", 5'4.5" now. But she's trying out for basketball for the first time this December. So I think it's
what school, Chad, if you don't mind?
She's at Pyle in Bethesda.
Pyle Middle School?
Yeah.
Okay. So her neighborhood school will be Walt Whitman, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha.
Brad had an
that's my territory.
Oh yeah. I'm surprised we haven't before.
You familiar with the young lady by the name of Abby Myers?
Yeah, that name sounds familiar. Was she at Whitman?
Yeah,
she was at Whitman.
Superstar.
Brandon will tell you, because Brandon knows as well. Brandon, you coached her, right?
I was her trainer. You were her trainer extraordinaire. I was her AAU coach.
Right. That's right.
And so she played for Takeover. And when I say, you could see what Brad was teaching her, Chad, and every week that they were together, you could see how her improvement was happening. I mean, she was crossing half court, pulling up for three. We could draw plays for her, and the rest of the team could mess the play up, and she go get the basketball and find a way to get us a bucket, and wasn't mad at nobody.
That's really what it comes down to, too, right? Your ability to think on the fly, and still. That's why I think your program specifically, Brandon, is amazing, because you teach the skill sets, and then they become kind of second nature. You don't even know that you're.
They have to be. They have to be.
That's the goal. I mean, like the deal is, how important is it, Chad, because we're talking about you strategizing about your daughter's development? How important is it for you to get additional training for your kid? And is that training built around something that you say, okay, we're only going to dedicate an hour a week? Or do you say, all right, this is what my daughter needs, and this is where I'm trying to get to. So we're going to give her as much saturation with this as she can handle. How do you guys approach that?
So in particular, so my situation has always been nuanced because of our experience with tennis. From 5 to 10, she was at JTCC 3 times a week. She would play tennis all the time, and it really did burn her out. So it was, right now it's like, I'm not trying to push her any further than she has the aptitude to be pushing. So she's playing tennis again twice a week, and then she has cross country 3 times a week. It's just it's just impossible, man. These kids today are filled up. So I do want to get her time with basketball though. So it couldn't be more than once or twice a week though.
So it sounds like the importance is to give her a well-rounded understanding of sports, period.
Oh, that's always been, sports has always kind of been a backseat to school. She's never gotten to be, she's as long as she's doing well in school, she can play sports. From my perspective, it's not really let's play sports in order to even though I do see it as a launching pad to get to college or to potentially pay for college. And I do think that, she is capable of continuing to grow and matriculate through any kind of sports program, be it cross country, be it tennis or anything else. And my other daughter does ballet, so you just never know where they're going to end up. But it's been, school is number one, 100%. So it's
So let's talk. Let's talk. Of course, it's 100%, right? Your father wouldn't have any less than that, So, but let me ask you about her height and what you know, because you know a lot about basketball. You played football. You understand sports. What is the importance of developing her as a guard when she's taller than most of the kids? Because the teams that you put her on typically are going to put her in the post. And these are the formative years. And so, how do you handle that as a parent? Or what are your strategies?
So I'm lucky enough to be your brother. So the work that you put in with her has allowed her to kind of develop the ball handling skills that helped her, be the one bringing the ball up when she had a teammate that was just extraordinary. But whenever her teammate wasn't on the court, she brought the ball up and she was the one that kind of opened up the offense. But that was at the Montgomery County basketball sign-up basketball level. And I think that as she matriculates through to this, I'm not even sure if she's going to make the team, but I do think that her height is going to be not overlookable. So I think she will make the team, but it's not going to be because of her ball handling skills. It's going to be because of her ability to get you points in the post. So I think that her being in the post is the thing that's going to make her helpful to a team more than her guard skills, even though I want to develop her guard skills.
Yeah, the hardest thing in the world to do is to figure out, and Brad, you could touch on this because you got tall kids that are out here. You're going to have to put more time in, right, with a kid that's taller because they're lankier.
Absolutely.
They can't
Absolutely.
their bodies and all the rest of that stuff. So one of the things that I would say to you, Chad, is that you got to come up with a plan. And within that plan, you got to check her interest level. Because a lot of these kids, we have a kid right now that, and Nysear, we talk about it all the time, where this young man is divided. He's playing football, he's playing basketball, and all the rest of the stuff. And it's hard to serve two masters with this, right? You want to be able to say, okay, I'm going to master basketball and I'm going to focus because, there's a million kids that are actually doing the same thing. So if I really have authentic hoop dreams, then I can't just say, hey, I'm going to get a couple of hours in here or a couple of hours in there and play. You got to say, I'm getting this in. I'm going to work this thing, and I'm going to test my skills and authentically come back. Here's some constructive criticism from my parents and from my coaches and from my trainer. And then we're going to go at this again in the next game and see if I can spot those differences that would give me an advantage. Would you agree with that, Brad?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me add, 5'8", yeah, I'd be looking at her as a perimeter player.
Yeah, I mean, I do.
I know she's going to grow. I know she's going to grow because she's so young. But I mean, I would be looking to develop her as a perimeter player. I realize that she probably dominates now. At that size, with some of the girls she's playing with. But if you're looking at, well, just to give you an example, Abby was 6 feet tall. Brandon will tell you this. Abby's 6 feet tall. She's a guard. And Brandon, didn't you have her at the point some would take over?
So, no. Well,
you did?
Yeah, no. She was such a great shooter that having her bring the ball up and then trying to score at the same time did not optimize our experience.
Got you.
The goal was to basically bring the ball down the floor. We start the offense. She would have been the first option for an outside shot. The second option or the first option for getting to the basket mid-range would have been Kyla.
Absolutely.
And
I remember her.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you had Kyla on that same team?
Yeah, Kyla was on that same team.
That team had to be stacked, man.
You know why I remember that, though? It's because when Abby was at Princeton, she asked me to, what she could do to get some good running. So I think my initial call was to Libby Ellis at Maryland.
Maryland, yeah.
And I was trying to see if I could get her in whenever, Maryland ran pickup. And yeah, I think, some kind of way, like Abby knew Kyla Charles.
Oh, they're friends.
So so that's how that worked out. I don't know if she ever got in there for that pickup, but that's what we were trying to do for her. So that, because you got to look at it like this, guys play a lot more pickup ball and high level pickup ball than girls do. You got to make 10, 15 phone calls to get, unless you're on a college campus, to dealing with the teams, but you got to make a lot of calls to get high level pickup ball for girls. Now my friend Lex Conception, he ran something out of Virginia, and he was getting a lot of college girls together, and they were running, high level pickup ball, but you don't see that as much in the girls' game.
I would say something about that. That's why I always encourage the girls that I train to play with guys.
Oh yeah.
Kyla growing up, I used to always take her to the rack. I never let her play with me. I used to let her just sit on the side and shoot when she could. And then one day we were down a man. So she's like, please, can I play? And I let her play, and she was killing everybody. So I used to take her to the rack with me. Take her to the rack with me all the time. That's why I throw little runs. And I got two girls that I train. They're one of them real good. She go to Glen Elch. Katie, she real good. I throw open runs, and I invite her to the guy runs. So I feel like girls have to play with guys. That's the fastest way to get better. Like guys, they got to play with older people to get better. The fastest way.
So what I forget is the fact that Brad, Chad, that Akil is Kyla's biological older brother.
That's funny.
Biological. Like they have the same mother and father. That's awesome. That, and he's a phenomenal trainer.
We should have got Kyle on here. We could have made it a family affair.
I mean, she's in Hungary now, but
yeah, it's like they're like 8 hours ahead, so she probably asleep right now.
Yeah, we'll get her on the show, at some point, or we can actually pre-record some of the stuff and talk to her and then play it. But the reality is that for you, Chad, and all of the parents that have young girls that are playing basketball, this is an amazing time because there's a lot of attention on the sport, and the young ladies have gotten to be so good. Yeah. I remember, I've been training women's basketball players since 1996, and one of my players, I had a player who was 6'9", 6'6", 6'7", 6'6.5", 6'5", and so one of them, the 6'6.5", I was kind of just being a little crazy, but I said, "Do you think you could score on me?" Right? So, Brad, you're gonna love this. So, do you think you could score on me? And she was like, "I don't know. I've watched you. You're pretty good." And I'm 30, 31 years old. So I'm thinking I still got it and all the rest of the stuff. And she's 6'6". And I'll tell you what I knew, but I'm not going to tell you until the very end. So we get in there and we get into a play. And so I could tell she's nervous. But she puts a move on me. And I jump. And I'm in the air as I'm watching her go to the other side of the basket and make an easy layup. It was terrible. It was terrible. I was embarrassed. And so I had my answer. But the reason why it's interesting is she ended up being the #1 player in the country in college, post player. And she played for Vanderbilt. And just an amazing, amazing left hand, right hand. So, and that was 20 years ago. And they were great then, but now they're being noticed for how great this game is, and we can enjoy it. And it might be different. Maybe there's not the dunking that we're used to and all the rest of the stuff, but the quality of the game and the skill and the playing, it's phenomenal. So
well, I think that speaks to what Coach Akil was talking about, man. It's these girls are playing with guys. They're playing with guys their whole life. And
and the dunking is coming, Coach.
The dunking is here. So
it really is.
Players, Michelle Snow, she was in Tennessee, and she's a great little sister, but what they're doing now, alley-oops and dunking on people and all the rest of that stuff, it's a lot of fun to watch. And I can't dunk anymore, so I get a chance to watch these athletes do it. Brad, don't act like that. You can still dunk. Chad, you over there dunking on people too. Don't act like that.
I had knee surgery 3 weeks ago, man.
Yeah, you did. Beamer again. You've been running from it. Do a shout out to the Beamer recovery. Anyway, so
I meant to come over on Friday, but my physical therapy went until 1:30 or something.
Let's see if I'm not sure if Nysear is able to get on. He's been having technical difficulties. So, guys, what I want to do, first of all, thank you, Chad, for getting on here. The whole idea is that you got to set up a plan and you got to subsidize that plan because the game is so competitive that you can't just depend on the coach to really teach your daughter all of the things that she needs to kind of understand and the nuances to build her confidence. And
I don't even expect skill development out of these coaches.
For sure. And so I'm not saying me, but find a trainer like Brad, like Akil. There's so many wonderful people out here that you want to, like, even with my son, one of them, we said, look, don't play on my team. You can play on another coach's team. And it's not like, I believe that I don't have one of the best programs, but it's how your daughter perceives the information. You got to make sure that it's the right person that you trust and you know what they're saying and that your daughter is on the same frequency and connected, because that's so important, that trust, because there's going to be times when she's going to think that she's a failure and she's no good. And you got to make sure she's going to go to someone that's going to uplift her spirits, to make sure that she understands that she can be the best version of herself, that it's going to take a plan, it's going to take time, and that she's the wonderful leader that you and your wife have done such a fantastic job with both of your kids. And I'm super proud of you.
Well, we all love you too, brother. And I certainly appreciate you guys having me on, man. I'll get your info though, Brad. I'm going to hold you to it.
Yeah, well, you got all these.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good.
Keel is in there, and stay on, Chad, because we're about to break down some video, and I know how much you enjoy watching the game.
I do, but let me step away for a second so you can take me off the main screen.
Easily. All right, hold on. Easily. That was done. All right, Coach Akil, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on.
All right, so hopefully you'll be able to see this here. But let me share screen. So we're going to break down last week. Brad, I don't know if you watched the show when you were sick, but we broke down game film. Can you guys all see this?
Yes.
All right. So the reason why we're doing this is I want to give all of us time to talk about how we would approach the play before it starts, like what you want your players to see on the court. And then from there, then we play it and we see what James saw and how he went and attacked. And then we look for an opportunity to see if we're in sync with the player, but also to try to find the highest probability of success. And this would also give parents a flat out chance to kind of hear how we would communicate to their kid. You guys ready to jump in?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, so we got James Harden. So this is 15 minutes of James Harden's highlights. And the idea behind this is I'm going to play it. I just want to make sure that, I'm going to play it here. And let's start it. So, all right, so Coach, you want to go first? You want me to go first? What do y'all want?
Oh, either or.
All right, so you got it. You go first. So let's get the setup here. So you tell me where you want me to stop and then start talking a little bit about what you want your player to see with the ball. Go ahead.
All right. Number one, he's going, like, the strong side of the floor is actually to – is this Harden?
Yeah, this
right now with the ball. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the strong side of the court right now is to his right hand, but I see the guy cutting through the lane. Okay. Now that's going to be a lot of space. So I assume Harden is about to do what he kind of does and break down his defender and kind of get going here. All right. Depending on this guy on help side, if Harden forces this guy to kind of just be a step out of position, he'll have the three in the corner. But most teams are going to take that away, Brandon, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Most teams are going to take that away. The guy they're probably going to leave, if I'm seeing this right, all right, I'm assuming he's going right just because he has the most space. But, say he does go right, okay? I want him to be able to see this guy on the opposite wing.
You're talking about down here on the left side.
Left side.
Extended from.
Yeah. I want him to be able to get that ball to him as he gets going. If they can't, if they stop his drive.
Okay.
Because I believe that's the guy that they're going to leave.
Okay.
We'll see. Are you going to run the? You going to run the play?
We'll run the play. Keel, tell me what you see.
When I see a 4 flat, so basically they're probably trying to get Harden going. So depending on what time the game is, I like to get my star players going early. So honestly, I would just tell Harden to attack. He's such a great player. It doesn't matter what he attacks, because nowadays people always talk about the screen and roll, but the best way to score is off a closeout. In a game, with the game now, with people's skill level. So I'm basically trying to tell Harden, get in the lane and try to make a play. So if you try to and kick it, that's the best time for your players to score, because the defender is coming in to help. You have to chase down, and that's one of the best.
Okay, we lost.
And try to make the right play.
Yeah.
Okay.
You hear me now? I'm driving, so I'm in a bad area. But basically, I'm gonna tell Harden to attack and basically try to kick it. Either try to score, look to score. If not, kick it, because the defender has to defend off a closeout. And that's one of the hardest things to defend now. It's off the closeout.
Yeah,
it is.
I agree.
All right, so I agree with all of you guys. I think that's an excellent assessment. You know, one of the things that we talk about is the distance. So how far is the defender away from Harden right now? And the area where the defender is in, if you look at it from like rainbows or concentric circles inside the 3-point line, from the top of the key to the top of the 3-point line, we consider that to be like the first area of defense and also of attack. We call it the rule of fifths. And then from the top of the key to almost the free throw line, that would be considered the second. So this guy is at, and then right above the 3-point line, out about 3 feet, is called the bumper. So this guy is like approaching, because the farther he comes out, the more of an advantage Harden has, because if he gets
Absolutely.
now it's 5-on-4, and it becomes very complicated when Harden gets that paint touch, that you don't have 5 defensive players with their eyes on him, and that leaves the kickouts open and for drastic closeouts. Now Harden is left-handed, so I believe that he's going to try to go to his strong hand typically, and so if he goes into his patented movement, which we call shakedown, where he tries to get the defense to sit lower and also potentially reach for the basketball, it's when they reach and they drop lower that he feels like he has the advantage to drive by. That's the timing that he's looking for. Now that he's got the spacing, meaning that the 2 interior defenders that would be helping the most, he wants to see if he can get them 12 feet apart. So he waits for, that play to develop where they can actually space the floor so he can read the interior defenders. The mistake that this guy is making that's guarding him is that he's got his top foot as his right foot. So that means if Harden goes left, then he's going to be swinging his right foot, which means he's going to be slower than if he could stay in a step slide when Harden is going to the right, and then he converts to the run defense through the rest of the drive. So my approach to this, if I'm talking to one of my students, is saying, look how far the defense is. If the defense is 2 arms distance away, then if you're in your range, you're going to pull up for the shot. If they're 1.5 arms distance away, then you're going to go into some form of a movement to test them so that you can see if you can commit them to guarding you for a shot or guarding you for a drive. And then if they're active, meaning they're less than 1 arm's distance away, then now you have the advantage because they really are reaching for the ball and they really can't see the ball. So you have an advantage in terms of getting the ball around them and attacking their inside shoulder. So that's how I would approach it. So let's just see what his thoughts are. Okay, so
he got strong side too.
Yep. So now he's looking and he's probably saying, I don't want to try to get through here. And he's such a shooter.
Yep.
He's such a shooter that on the redrive, look at how easy that is.
Yeah.
So he stops. he stops not in the first. Oh, well, I guess it isn't, like right inside the first, almost in the second. And that's the beginning of the redrive. He got the guy to overcommit and convert to the run defense. Let's look at this. The defender right there converts.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's in the run defense. And so there's no way that he can guard because he's in what's called the neurorefractory period, which means that he's committed to a movement for 0.4 seconds. So that gives Harden enough time to set up his redrive. And just like you said, now he's able to go right.
Yep.
And in going right, you only need one dribble from the top of the key. And now he's a running back.
Pretty much.
Through. And if you notice, look where he jumps from. He jumps from the first hash above the block. And we teach that's the rule of execution, so that now he's in the air and no one else is able to jump because of where he jumped from. He's now reached his athletic potential because this guy over here is like 7 feet tall. But we can see that Harden has been able to get his head above the 7-footers. So he's got the advantage. So, I mean, it's just great. So anyway, so, that's how we want to break this down, guys, is let's take a look, because you want your athletes to be able to see exactly what Harden saw, right? So let's see if we can get to this next play. So go ahead, Akil, you go first. What do you want him to do? Is he still with us? All right, Brad, take over.
All right, what we got here? Floor is pretty well spaced.
Yep.
Once again, this guy looks like he's trying to push Harden right. We know that he is such a great player that doesn't necessarily matter.
That doesn't phase him.
But honestly, if he can get back left here, and get into the interior, now that corner shooter might be open.
I see it. Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
You see what I mean?
Yep.
If he can get back left, get into the, get a paint touch. Now that corner shooter might be open.
Coach Akil, are you back with us?
Yeah.
All right. What you see? What you like?
I see the right will be the best. Who's that in the corner? I'm trying to figure out who that's in the corner.
Yeah. We got to figure out if that's a shooter or not.
Yeah. But regardless, with James Harden, doesn't really matter.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Right now, I can't think. I would say he would just try to drive right. Try to drive right to create something, honestly, in this situation.
I like it. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, we
Yeah.
call it a diamond because you got 12 feet in between these interior defenders or more.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
got the help underneath the basket. So as long as he jumps from the first hash above the block, he's going to have an advantage over this big that's waiting for him. But I agree that right side is open. So if I'm him, I'm going to give a confirmation like I'm going to go left.
Yeah.
So that because the defender's already shading that left side. So let me just say, hey, man, good job. I'm still going to try to force it this way. And all that guy has to do is just open that right foot up, and then the left side is going to be open. I'm sorry, the right side is going to be open. But this is also where Harden is best, because when he's going to the right, that's where he's a better shooter, because he'll get the ball in the strong hand, which is his left hand. And if he's going to his left, then it's going to be harder for him, because typically his strong hand is going to be furthest away from the basket. So that's what I would see in my approach and what I would share with the kids. If I got a right-handed kid and I know that he likes to shoot the three and he's good at it, then I'm going to try to get him to go left. So if he's got to do a step back, he's got his hand, the ball is going to be in his right hand, and that's no problem. But if he's a left-handed shooter, then, I'm going to want him to end up going right. So if he doesn't feel like he can get past, he could actually jump back and get into that left-handed shot with no worries. Let's see what he does. Hold on one second. Oh, he opened that up. Look at that. So let's talk about this. So we all wanted him to go right, but he chose not to, took advantage, and we were talking about being a left-handed shooter. If you see that right hand is what's closest to the basket, it's hard for him because he's got to over-rotate pulling up for the shot. So what he does is he steps back. Now he has his left shoulder pointing towards the basket as opposed to his right. And now he's comfortable getting into that shot. So he's following all three of our principles.
And he also, Coach, you know, this guy does that move as at a high a level as anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially Houston Rockets James Harden. He was different.
He was different. He knew it, and we all knew it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he just toyed with him.
Yeah. Because the reality is, you know, Zach LaVine is coming over there. Let's just see here. So right here, Zach is in a great help position.
Yeah.
Right? So, Akil, I think what you were saying earlier was that you would like your players like to get that paint touch to overcommit Zach.
Yeah.
So that kick out to the left wing is wide open.
Yep.
Because look, Zach even jumped over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm feeling like, you know, you got to be James Harden in order to make that work.
Yeah, without swinging that ball, you got to be James Harden.
You got to be James Harden. You got to be.
Yeah, this is definitely a James Harden play.
All right. Let's see here. Let's do one more, guys. So, all right, Akil, you go first. What you like?
I would like that dude to James Harden on his left hand to space out a little bit more. But I feel like this is semi-transition, so I feel like James Harden should just attack. Depending on the plays, I wouldn't even mind James Harden pull this because his hand is not in the active zone. His hand is down.
Yeah.
And James Harden hits that shot. So I wouldn't even, depending how the game is go. Was it 1 minute left? It depends. But
Yeah, this
I
is
would
a
like
shot
that.
for him.
Yeah, it's a good. Yes, I'm saying it's a good shot for him.
Mm-hmm.
I would like that dude to space out a little bit more, but it looks like he's just about to just take a strong left and maybe change direction. Because the hardest thing for people to do is open their hips and to
Yeah.
change into like, you know what I'm saying, slide lateral. So I wouldn't be surprised he drive hard left and cut back to the right.
So, you know, I think you're right. Like, and you take a look at time and possession. I'm hoping that runs the clock down a little bit. And, you know, we're only up by 1 point here. So he's got to think to himself, if he misses the shot and there's nobody protecting the basket, really, it could be devastating, you know, for the team. So relax a little bit, let the offense set up, let the defense like start making a commitment because he's obviously looking like he's ready to do some damage. But most point guards, like we know that James Harden is a point guard, most point guards, we're going to teach them that you got to enter an offense. So I'm almost, if I know I want James Harden to shoot, I'd almost rather him be the two, rotate him back to the top so that I get more of my teammates active and touching the ball within that possession. So, Brad, what you see? What you like?
No, I felt like that was a very good point. And, I mean, that kind of, you know, it kind of brings to light, you know, James Harden's style as a player when he was dominant that year, or those years in Houston. guys had to really, really get used to playing with him, because there weren't going to be the typical amount of touches as the ball moved around the perimeter. Usually, they're playing off him. He is the offense, is what I'm saying.
So I agree with you, and I'm seeing this kid is in the first, the defender. Who is that? JR?
Yeah.
So, and he's athletic, so he's sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like James Harden would know that. I would tell my players to, look at the spacing between the interior help defenders. And
Yep.
if you've got that 12 feet, which is basically from the elbow of the free throw line to the other elbow of the free throw line, if you got that much and you can get to the inside shoulder of your defender so that they would have to overcommit if they're going to help, that kick out on that paint touch has got to be critical. And I need my guards, my point guards especially, to actually touch the paint. I don't want them getting close. If you're a
Yeah.
foot away from the paint, then you failed. Like, that's
Yeah.
not the skill. I'm trying to get you to be a subject matter expert. If you have to come to a pro hop and
Mm-hmm.
land in the paint to be able to make that kick out, do that, because that's going to make the defense converge on you. So let's see what we got. So he gives the confirmation that he could be going left, and then crosses over right, attacks that top foot. Okay, look where he's jumping from. I don't think that's an accident. I think he's jumping
No,
from
I don't think so either.
the block for a reason, and nobody's there. If you check that out, nobody jumps. Nobody's jumping. Tristan Thompson's not even jumping. He can't.
Yeah. This was kind of off of like a secondary break, and then he just explodes.
Mm-hmm.
He lulls you to sleep, explodes. He's there.
So what we're saying is that lulling you to sleep is a timing thing, is a rhythm.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to have that timing and that rhythm in order to be effective. All right, hold on one sec. So yeah, guys, like, this to me is what I'm hopeful that parents are going to be excited to know, that whoever they work with, if they're not in this type of conversation,
Mm-hmm.
they need to get with this, right? Would you agree with that, Akil? You still there, buddy? Okay. So Brad, you agree with that?
Yes,
And,
I do.
and I think the formula for a lot of these parents, and I'm so glad that Chad was able to get on and have a talk with us, but the formula for a lot of these parents is choose your trainer wisely. Choose your community that you're going to have imparting skill sets, fundamentals. Don't listen to esoteric stuff like, oh, they just need to get a little stronger. They just need to get a little faster, right? Like, it's got to be real talk, like you're giving, Brad, like you're giving Coach Akil. It's got to be real talk. And parents have got to sift through the BS and know that,
Mm-hmm.
like, I want a parent to interview me, ask me
Yeah.
questions, talk to me. Like, and this is why no matter what you ever do, Akil, you may end up being a college coach one day. Brad, you might be an NBA coach one day. I want all of these people of influence, or however you want to call them, to be able to come back to our time together on these podcasts and really get to know who you guys are, so that they can make a decision. And if you look in the description, Coach Brad, Coach Akil, you'll see that, or not, you'll see, you guys already know, but your emails are there. So these parents can come back and you can actually send out this podcast to them so they can learn more about who you guys are. Because at the end of the day, we've got to promote and uplift each other so that parents can make good decisions for their kids and know that they have quality training out there where it's an education and a curriculum and something of value. So with that being said, I just want to tell the community that I'm so glad that you took the time out to watch us and learn more about us, and know that we'll be here every week. and we'll be breaking down game film. We'll be talking about the greatest players that ever played the game and how we would help your son or daughter become the greatest player to ever play the game. So thank you, guys. Coaches, stay on after this, and good night.